Anime has a long and rich history filled with innovative, creative people. However, like with everything else, there have been moments in anime history that were met with nothing less than scorn and outrage. A whole lot of scorn and outrage. These range from shocking imagery and topics to production choices that led to the show's downfall. Whatever the case may be, these are just some of the anime that have caused their fair share of controversy. Pokémon has plenty of controversial moments that has sparked outrage, but everybody knows about the one that put kids in the hospital. The infamous Pokémon episode Cyber Soldier Porygon that aired only once in Japan on December 16, 1997. For those unaware, this episode caused a small panic in Japan at the time, and sent kids to the hospital due to the strobe light effects that happened suddenly in the episode. While they're trying to escape the cyber world, Pikachu uses Thunderbolt on a missile being shot at them. The resulting explosion creates a red and blue strobe effect that flashes on the screen for about 20 seconds. Reports quickly came in about kids who saw the episode having to be rushed to the hospital after suffering from seizures. So, the episode was never aired again. There are a few other episodes in Pokémon's history that have received outrage, but none of them have come close to hospitalizing kids. At some point, every kid has imitated something they've seen on TV or read in a book. It's an integral part of growing up to imitate the things you see on the screen. That being said, those same things will often land you in trouble.
Classmates, he wrote in a book titled Death Note.
Death Note was a tour de force anime that's regarded as perhaps one of the best drama/thrillers. It's by every sense of the word a classic, even receiving its own hilarious Netflix adaptation. Death Note, to put it briefly, is about a bored high school student named Light who finds a magic notebook that, when someone's name is written in it, ends their life. Now, you take a popular anime in 2007 watched by angsty teens and you're just asking for people to create their own death notes from a spiral notebook and write down the names of their bullies and parents. This was one fad people weren't hopping on the bandwagon for. There are some controversies that come from something outside the show or even outside the production staff. People have been talking a lot about Rurouni Kenshin, and not because of the anime or manga, but because of the creator. It has come out recently that the author of Kenshin, Nobuhiro Watsuki, has been charged with possession of underage photos and videos. This, along with his following arrest, has caused the new manga Rurouni Kenshin Hokkaido to be put on hold. This news obviously didn't sit well with fans or the larger anime community, especially since Kenshin was supposed to be a character in Jump Force. Now, the outrage isn't at anyone except the creator of Rurouni Kenshin, but this did spark a larger debate about separating the author from the work. People were questioning whether or not they could even support the franchise now that they know the truth about its creator. Neon Genesis will always be a sore spot for anime fans, no matter how much time has passed. To this day, it's still one of the most hotly debated anime in history. Is it brilliant? Is it terrible? You could argue this point forever and still not get anywhere. However, fans mostly agree on the final 2 episodes of the original anime. The series had always ran close to deadlines when it was in production, and this was true of the final 2 episodes. These 2 last episodes deviated significantly from the story and featured a lot of experimental animation and flashbacks. Even in the dub, the voice actor for Shinji, Spike Spencer, did a rant during the credits about how none of this made sense and rambling as Shinji, who was still in the dream world. The ending caused so much of an uproar, Studio Gainax went on to produce 2 films to give a true ending to the series. We certainly have come a long way as far as anime and content. Sure, the occasional scene will outrage or upset fans, but we have come to tolerate a lot of other content that was once considered uncouth. Akira is considered by many to be one of the best anime films of all time. It's been referenced in many other movies, like the iconic motorcycle slide. However, part of the marketing for the original run of the movie labeled this one of the most controversial films of all time. Now, this could be some clever marketing at the time, but it would be fair to argue that the graphic violence, body horror, and general drug use warranted the reaction it got at the time. Of course, cartoons were largely seen as a kids thing, so an anime movie with kids swearing, doing drugs, and riding motorcycles can be seen as a bit too much. The more things change, the more they stay the same. Saint Seiya Knights of the Zodiac originally aired back in 1986 and lasted until 1989. In that time, it garnered a cult following with a dedicated fan base and has a Netflix reboot on the way. The show hasn't been released on Netflix yet, but the trailer did show viewers a lot, the most drastic change being that it'll be a 3D CGI anime. However, longtime fans of the series did have a gripe with the trailer. One of the characters, Andromeda Shun, is going to be a female. when in the original they were an androgynous character, which tanked the like-dislike of the trailer on YouTube. Eugene Sun, the showrunner for this reboot, took to Twitter to explain his reasons for the gender swap, saying there were already too many male characters and having a female one would work better for the show. They say that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery, but often the person who's being imitated won't see it that way. SSSS Gridman took the mecha anime scene by storm last year and was by most accounts a good show. However, there were some details and sequences that looked awfully familiar. Fans on Twitter noticed that a sequence in episode 8 of Gridman mirrored another sequence from Gravion a little too closely. Animator Masumi Obari accused the Gridman team of plagiarizing the work he did for the Gravion series. When asked if anyone from Studio Trigger had consulted him, he confirmed they didn't, stating, "Nope, I thought it was a tribute as well, but it turns out they are plagiarizing." However, the Gridman team and Trigger have stuck by their move, stating it was an homage. Fans have put the two scenes side by side to compare, and many aren't buying the homage angle. What do you think? There's a lot that Haruhi has done for anime. The Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya is an interesting blend of comedy and experimental anime due to its unique run and storytelling style. However, there was one arc that was trying fans' patience, known as the infamous Endless 8. This refers to an arc in the second season where the entire cast is stuck in a Groundhog Day-style time loop for 8 episodes. The episodes were more or less the same exact story animated 8 times. In the manga, Haruhi wishes for an endless summer, and because she's God, she unknowingly bends reality to have summer repeat before Kyon can break the cycle. This was recreated in the anime pretty faithfully, but fans weren't happy that 8 full episodes depicted the same thing over and over again like some sick prank. The episodes are still talked about to this day, with running jokes and memes still being referenced. Darling in the Fran XX took the world by storm when it aired, and has won the award for quickest 180 from people's favorite to people's most hated show. While it can be agreed that Darling was always destined to be bad, there were some moments before the end that could foretell the series' inevitable decline. Putting aside the awful ending in third arc, the episode that made even die-hard fans riot online was episode 14. This centers around the love triangle between Ichigo, the childhood friend of the show's protag, Hiro, and the mysterious manic pixie dream girl, 02. Episode 13 built up 02 and Hiro's relationship quite a bit, to the point where Z2 admits she sees Hiro as her true love. Ichigo physically separates the two, then confesses her love for Hiro and kisses him, which causes an outrage from fans who were on Team Zero and Team Ichigo. How far is too far when it comes to making a film or animating a scene? We've talked about a few notable examples of pushing the envelope in this video, but this might take the cake. Kite is a 90s anime film that has garnered a notorious reputation and has a cult following. Kite is a dark film about a girl who lost her parent and is then taken in by the ones who ended the lives of her parents to be trained as an assassin. The main character Sawa is sent on missions by her two guardians to take people out. All the while, the two take advantage of her when she's not out and about. The film has been banned in many countries due to this premise. Despite that, a toned-down live-action remake was made starring Samuel L. Jackson, with a lot of the more graphic scenes removed or taken down a notch. If you've ever wanted to get into the Fate series, you're in for one heck of a ride. If you can even figure out which series to watch first, eventually you'll find yourself at Fate Stay Night. Love it or hate it, there are some things people had hoped for in the original entry to the series, like if Saber and Shiro were finally gonna ship. However, that's not exactly what ended up happening. Instead of having the love scene everyone wanted, we were shown perhaps the worst CGI in anime history, as well as an ending that rivals Neon Genesis Evangelion's. This dragon looks like it was an unused asset in a PS1 game, for crying out loud. Needless to say, fans felt they were gypped out of the ending they wanted, and this moment still ranks high on the showrunners and creators trolling their fans list. Have you ever watched a show where the main character turns out to be something nobody else saw coming, like some sort of Shyamalan-like twist? Well, in anime, one of the best examples of this is from Yu Yu Hakusho. Up until this point, we've been following confirmed human Yusuke and his band of friends battle all kinds of supernatural baddies. However, during the Chapter Black arc, it's revealed that Yusuke is also part demon. Down, down, down! While the idea of humans being capable of truly demon-like cruelty was interesting, it didn't need to be personified by our main protagonist being an actual demon. This was Yusuke, the happy-go-lucky guy who was always willing to take on inhuman monsters through sheer force of will, proving that a human can hold his own against the powers of evil. Well, turns out he's actually a super special demon boy. What a twist! This next kind of outrage falls into that oh-so-sweet category of higher up of the show does something to ruin it for the rest of us. Thanks to anime director Kazuyoshi Yaganuma, the entire legacy of MMO Junkie was thrown in the mud. It was revealed back in early 2018 that Mr. Yaganuma had a rather disturbing recollection of history in World War II. You see, it's one thing to be anti-Semitic, but to straight up deny the Holocaust ever happened is a new level of messed up altogether. These tweets reached several streaming platforms and parent companies, all of which condemned his statements. Rather than apologizing in any way, Mr. Yaganuma doubles down on his statements, a strategy that has never worked for anyone in the past. In fact, it worked so well for him that Studio MD canned him, after denouncing him and most likely blacklisting him from the industry. JoJo's been around for a long time, so it's very surprising that the show has only sparked major outrage once in its more than 2 decades-long run. To describe the plot of JoJo adequately in this short entry would be a daunting task, and an ultimately fruitless one, seeing as the plot of the show is basically in the title. However, JoJo has gone through so many iterations and new seasons, each with a different protagonist, that it can be a bit overwhelming. However, we'll be focusing on the OVA from the 90s, the Stardust Crusade. In the manga, Dio is seen reading some text from a book, vowing to destroy Jotaro. However, in the anime, the staff unknowingly used sections from the Quran. Needless to say, there was outrage aplenty, with the backlash even affecting the English release of the manga and anime. Now, we've talked about sexual assault in this video a few times already, how it can be harmful to viewers and why it was controversial. However, Rising of the Shield Hero, another in a long line of recent isekai shows, takes this in another direction entirely. In the first episode, we have our main character not only robbed, but has a false accusation leveled against him that lands him in deep trouble. Now, the timing of this is everything, especially with Western audiences amidst the #MeToo movement. Some people thought this was in poor taste, while others thought that it represented a very small amount of incidences. Regardless, people were up in arms on both sides of the aisle at the very idea of a woman faking an allegation, as the very act of faking one hurts all parties involved. Universally labeled the black sheep of the series, Dragon Ball GT has earned a lot of outrage and hate among Dragon Ball fans, and for good reason more or less. For starters, the series began by turning adult Goku back into a kid, a move most fans looked at and thought, yeah, but why though? Why though? While Kid Goku was back, the charm of the prequel didn't come back. Aside from Kid Goku, it seemed like nearly every decision for this show was the wrong one. Why does this show have an anime wrap opening? The Black Star Dragon Balls only serve as a MacGuffin for the show in the worst way possible. The things that stuck out were just rehashes of the original Dragon Ball, and almost nothing from this series has stuck in the minds of fans. Much like the live-action Avatar movie, Dragon Ball GT is a series fans would rather forget ever existed. And we mean The Last Airbender, not the James Cameron one. Sorry, James. With a show and concept like Hetalia Access Powers, having public outrage or controversy was pretty much inevitable. For the uninitiated, Hetalia Access Powers is a show where countries are personified as cutesy caricatures. However, the bulk of the show focuses on the Axis powers of World War II, Germany, Italy, and Japan. Now, you don't need to be a history buff to know the atrocities of the Axis powers during World War II. The fascist parties, the Holocaust, Mussolini, and all the other terrible things done by the Axis powers during the war. The idea of personifying the World War II Axis powers as lovable, funny characters might be just a touch insensitive. Someone was bound to bring this up, and in fact, many people have. A group of Korean viewers protested, citing that this show was attempting to downplay the war crimes and horrors the Axis powers committed. While this last entry may not spark massive outrage among anime fans, there's still plenty of people wary about Koikaze and shows like this. The series revolves around a 27-year-old Koshiro Seiki, who lives with his divorced father. Koshiro is dumped by his girlfriend and is put into a slump because of this. What could get him out of this? A budding romance with a high school girl, of course, but not just any high school girl, his own sibling. Perhaps the most surprising and outrageous thing about Koikaze is how many people are fine with this whole thing. Of course, this is Japan and otaku culture, so that is to be expected. In fact, the only controversy the show did receive was when the TV station it was originally airing on wouldn't air episode 8, since it dealt with divorce, which was more taboo at the time than a 27-year-old dating a 15-year-old sibling. Whew. There are a plethora of anime that deal with sensitive subjects and plenty of anime that have graphic imagery. For some, it's the focal point of the show, but there are other anime that call into question how much is too much. The debate and controversy might have been over a year ago, but Goblin Slayer was at the center of some hot debates and outrage among some in the community after its first episode aired. The first episode in question has a scene where one of the minor female characters is sexually assaulted. The scene is graphic and very upsetting, with most, if not all, viewers in agreement of that. Arguments and debates sprang up all over the place from Reddit to Twitter on the scene in question, and the gratuitous nature of scenes like this. While some people found a compromise, others didn't return for episode 2. Sword Art Online is both one of the most well-known isekai anime and the most hated. SAO has been no stranger to controversy and making fans uncomfortable, but this latest iteration is pushing it to a whole new level. In the third season, Sword Art Online Alicization, Yu-Gi-Oh is put in a trap where he's forced to watch two female friends be sexually assaulted by two bullies. The two made it so that they could have their way with the girls, and Yu-Gi-Oh could do nothing but watch. The scene in question has been censored on a few streaming platforms, and plenty of fans weren't happy with how the scene played out, especially since this wasn't the first time SAO has used sexual assault as a cheap plot point. While the author has apologized and will be more mindful of scenes like it, it doesn't seem likely he'll follow through. And those were just some of the anime that have caused public outrage. Do you agree with our list? What other anime would you have included in this list? Let us know down in the comments section below, and be sure to hit that subscribe button for more anime videos from CBR. Thanks a whole lot for watching.